It's good to be with you again. I thought that it might be interesting to take a look at some early Christian history as we approach Valentine's Day this Sunday. I don't know about you, but growing up, we called it Saint Valentine's Day. In fact, Hallmark cards used to say Saint Valentine's Day on it, but things have changed. So let's look at some of the history. Most of us are aware of the horrible persecutions that took place across the Roman Empire following the death of Jesus. And except for a few major exceptions, most of the persecutions that occurred were spotty and often localized to a specific area. Now, this was due to a Roman policy of don't ask, don't tell that was developed by Trajan, who was emperor. One of his governors, a man named Pliny, wanted to know what to do with a stubborn group of people who followed this man called Jesus, and they called themselves the Way. So he said that they were basically good people, but they stubbornly refused to offer incense to the image of the emperor, which was considered treason. Well, Trajan realized he had the same problem, but he wasn't interested in spending money or manpower to root out people who were basically not a problem, or at least not a problem until you asked them to burn incense to an image. His policy was don't ask people if they're a Christian and don't force them to tell you. But if a charge is brought against them and they refuse to burn incense, well, it was a capital offense and they needed to be put to death. This policy kept many Christians very aware of their pagan neighbors who could bring a charge against them for any reason, bringing about their execution. So here's the following story that I'm about to tell you is corroborated by various historical records found around Europe. It was during one of these times of persecution when an Italian bishop named Valentine was under house arrest and being questioned by a local judge named Asterius. After a lengthy examination to which Valentine continually refused to deny his faith by burning incense, that this judge thought to trick Valentine with a challenge. So he brought out his blind daughter and told him that if Jesus could restore her sight, he would do anything that Valentine asked. Well, Valentine supposedly placed his hands on the girl's eyes and sang, "Lord Jesus Christ, enlighten your handmaid, because you are God, the true light." With that, the young girl regained her sight. Judge Asterius was amazed. He not only released Valentine, he and his entire household of 44 people gave their lives to Christ. Well, not long after that, Valentine was again arrested for performing marriages for Christian couples, which was outlawed by the Emperor Claudius II. Taken to Rome, he stood trial before the emperor, who became so enraged with Valentine's refusal to recant that he was again sentenced to death. Valentine prepared for his day of victory, which they called the day that they gave their life for Christ. Anyway, he prepared for his day of victory by writing a letter to his dear young friend, the little girl who Christ had healed. And at the end of the letter, he finished it with, "Your Valentine." That's a true story. It's an historical account of the genesis of Saint Valentine's Day. It's our history. We are the ones who write letters of love to people around the world, people in our block, people at work. I challenge you to do it to see what would happen if people found out that you cared for them. Anyway, thanks so much for listening to this, and may you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Until we meet again, work in the light.